Welcome back. You know, there is nothing better than curling up with one of your favorite books, and it's truly one of the best gifts mom can get for Mother's Day. It's a great book where they can unwind and escape the stress of their daily lives. Plus, it's just nice to pause and turn a page, right? With so many options, though, to choose from, book influencer Cindy Burnett, host of Thoughts from the Page podcast, is back with some picks for all types of moms. It's great to see you, Cindy.
I'm so glad to be back. Thank you for having me again, Courtney.
Okay, so book influencer, but before you kind of dive, you've always been a bookie, right? I mean, the bookie that likes to turn the pages. But before you did this, what were you doing before?
I was a lawyer before, and then when I stopped practicing when my youngest child was born, and so then I've always read, and about 6 years ago, I started getting more involved, reviewing books. I launched my podcast a couple years ago. I talked to authors, talked to other people about books. I have a literary salon here in Houston. We always welcome new members, and I just love to talk about books. I write for the Buzz magazines here in Houston.
Right.
So I pretty much just cover the whole gamut on books.
And I think it's great to kind of get the buzz out when somebody, it's what we do, right? As women, we love to share ideas, and it's sort of like, oh, did you read this book? Did you watch this show? So that's kind of where we got some of these ideas. And let's jump in right now. We're going to start with number one, and this is for the mom who loved Inventing Anna and The Dropout. I told you, Cindy, that I'm not quite through that series yet, but I am absolutely hooked to both of them. Why would we like this one called The Cover Story?
So The Cover Story is a similar idea, a con woman story. It's told in a very clever format. It's Facebook posts and FBI transcripts and journal entries and emails and texts, and you're just madly turning the pages trying to figure out exactly what's going on. A woman gets an internship at Elle magazine. She meets an older woman who wants her to help ghostwrite her book, and the story goes from there. And there's missing hotel bills, and there's all these new credit card applications, and there's just constantly stuff happening, and you're trying to figure out who's the bad guy, who's the good guy, and you have to read really closely. And my biggest recommendation, is to go in with very little knowledge about the story so it doesn't get spoiled.
Okay, so just start reading.
Right, start reading. Don't listen to what other people have said about it. Don't read reviews. Just read the book.
This also kind of sounds like a good beachy read, you know, kind of a summer vacay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But where you can focus.
All right.
You don't want people talking to you.
Yeah, I know. You need to find yourself on the beach somewhere. Okay, moving along to title number two, and this one's for the memoir lover.
Exactly. It's called Bomb Shelter by Mary Laura Philpott. There's been a ton of press about this in the last couple of weeks. She's been in the New York Times the last 2 weekends, which never happens. And her son was 17 when he woke them up at 4 a.m. and he was having a seizure in the bathroom. And he'd never had that happen before. They went in there. He ended up having to go to the hospital, spent a while there, diagnosed with epilepsy. So she talks a lot with humor and grace and empathy, but also, you know, heart-wrenching about what it was like to try to deal with that. But she's like talking to a close friend. You're going to read the book and you're going to feel like literally you're having a conversation like we are. And people keep saying how seen she makes them feel. Like when you read it, you're like, oh my gosh, that happened to me, or I identify with that, or this is, you know, my life as well. And I think it would appeal to any age mom when you've got a baby, when you've got grown children, or when you have teenagers.
Right. I love a book that you can hear the voice in your head as you're reading along. That is a true gift of a writer.
And you will laugh and you will cry. And the turtle on the cover is actually a turtle that lives in their backyard.
Oh.
And she has all these stories about him. So it's just really fun and different, but beautifully done.
Yeah, it sounds like it. The Bomb Shelter is that one. Okay, moving on to title number three, and this is for the mom who loves historical fiction, and that's speaking directly to you, Mom. Eileen, I know you're watching. She loves historical fiction.
Well, this is a wonderful story. It's loosely based on a true story set in 1970s Montgomery, Alabama, and it takes place with Sybil Townsend, and she is a nurse, and she is going out working for the Montgomery Family Planning Clinic, and she realizes that they have all of these young black girls, 11, 12, 13, on birth control, and she can't understand why they're on birth control. They're very young, but when she tries to pull them off, they say they're going to yank their welfare benefits. So from there, she kind of starts the ball rolling on something that ends up being far worse. And so I don't want to spoil it as to what it is, but it actually was stuff that happened all over the country. There was a lawsuit related to it, and so she just brings it to life. I mean, it will make you cry, but it will also, it's just it's a wonderful story, but it is a sad story.
Right, it's a thinker for well, and this title is called, it's Take My Hand. Can't wait for that one. Okay, moving along to title number four, book number four, and this is for the mom who needs a break. Do we know any of those, Cindy?
Yes, exactly. All of us, right? So I love the story. Do you remember? It's the Cartographers by Pung Shepherd. Do you remember those big gas station maps you would get when you were young? Okay,
yeah, folded,
so that's
yes.
at the heart of this story, the folded gas station map. And so what would happen is that Nell and her father have had this falling out, and he dies, and she rushes to the New York Public Library where he works, and in his drawer is this gas station map that they had the falling out about. So she goes online to try to figure out why he is still obsessed with this map and realizes it's the only one left. 1930 SO map of New York State, and she can't figure out what's happening. All the maps have either disappeared or been robbed, stolen, or people have taken them away. So she's trying to figure out what's happening. So there's a little bit of magical realism. It's a really clever take on the importance of maps and how we don't really use maps like we used to. And it's a very clever, unique, and intellectual story.
Yeah, I mean, wow, you just think even in the last, 10, 15, 20 years where we were with maps and printing maps. Remember the key maps, okay? When I remember those too. Very interesting. Okay, the last one, and this is for the mom who cherishes her friendships. I know a few of those as well.
Yes, and I love this book. It's Love and Saffron by Kim Fay. And it's the story of two women in 1960s California and Washington who develop a relationship, a friendship, by writing letters. So they each write for publications about food. And so one of them writes a fan letter to the other and sends her saffron, and they start writing back and forth. And one of them is in their 60s and the other is in her 20s, but they become very close friends, and it's just beautiful. They wrap in food and history of the time and just what it's like to have a close friend like that and develop a great relationship.
And I love the difference in the ages too, because that doesn't really matter. You're friends with someone for a reason.
Exactly.
It's really fantastic. You know what's great, Cindy, too, on all of these, I want to read them all, but they're all by female authors as well.
I know, I tend to really gravitate to female authors. Isn't that funny? So, and the other thing I wanted to say was I love independent bookstores, and Houston has wonderful independent bookstores. These can be found at Blue Willow, but also if you just need a last minute gift, anytime, it's a great place to run in. They can give you advice and a great way to shop for whoever you're looking for.
Right, or find that recommendation as well. Blue Willow, fantastic. Yeah. Cindy, thanks so much. When can we catch your podcast?
It's usually Tuesdays and Fridays.
Tuesdays and Fridays.
And it's on every platform.
Well, your voice is perfect for it. I love all of these titles, great gifts, and I think I'm going to have to snag them, add them to my list as well. It's great to see you again.
It was great to see you again, too. Thank you.
Really appreciate the picks on the titles. If you'd like to connect with Cindy, we've shared a link on the Scene on Houston Life section of our website. That's houstonlife.tv. All right, Derek is standing by with a look at what is coming up. Hi, Derek.
Okay, some very great recommendations there. I'd like to read those as well, Cindy. Very nice. Coming up after the break, a look at what's happening on tomorrow's show, including cocktails made just for mom. And as we head to break, let's check in with Mr. Kevin Frazier for a look at what he has coming up on Entertainment Tonight. Hey, Kevin.
Derek, make sure you tune into ET tonight because we are on the red carpet at the Met Gala with Blake Lively and Kim Kardashian, plus all the stars for a breakdown of their wild fashion, plus our exclusive behind-the-scenes look at Top Gun Maverick. That's coming tonight at 6:30 right here on KPRC 2. But don't go anywhere because Houston Life will be right back.